started 6 months into the relationship. He just changed. He became very proud. He would make comments like, I own you. And he makes me kneel down and then he slapped me.
In front of everybody?
Yeah. My self-worth was completely destroyed. Low self-esteem, feeling worthless because that's something that he told me and now it's in my mind. I picked up bad habits. I lost my purpose at that point. I didn't even know what I was doing. Someone told me about these pills that stop your heart. So that day I got the pills and I took them because I had enough. Like the pain, it was overwhelming. I think I needed to go through it because I wouldn't have developed that relationship with God.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Blooming. Everybody do a little clap. Yeah. Welcome to Blooming, a podcast hosted by me and inspired by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. As you can see today, we have another guest. Welcome Tehillah to Blooming.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here.
Everybody's happy. Welcome to our podcast. And the reason why I say our podcast is, of course, we are under the blood of Jesus Christ. He's here with us. And also to give a shout out to my good friend, Sister T, who's behind the camera, giving us the visual vibes. And to give a shout out to Brother Benny, who is editing the videos, getting the sound right. So welcome to our podcast. But before we get started, I just want to give you guys the opportunity to share this video, like, follow, subscribe. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're everywhere. So follow us right now. Click that button. Follow us. Share this video with someone. I'm sure it's going to bless them in such a huge way because we have Tehillah here and we'll be tackling the issue of abuse in relationships. But before we get started, Tehillah, maybe you can just introduce yourself to the people. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I personally am interested in finding out how you came to Jesus because I like the tea.
Okay. My name is Tehillah. I was born in a Christian family. And my parents were very serious Christians. So that's what led me to Christ. I remember them making us give our lives to Christ when we were still a bit young. Yeah, but then a few years later, like after different life experiences, I rededicated my life and got baptized in 2017.
Okay. So when you were young and you're like dedicating your life to Jesus, did you know what it meant? Or you just like, in this house, we dedicate our lives to Jesus?
I didn't know, obviously, because I was still young. I just knew that if I do certain things, it's wrong. But then the older I got, I experienced different things. So that also led me to understand it on a deeper meaning, deeper level, yeah.
And you'd say you're happy with your life in Jesus?
I'm very happy. The happiest I've ever been.
Yay! You see, you guys, Jesus is the key to happiness. So, like I mentioned today, wait, did I tell these people how we met? No, I didn't. So, Tehillah and I actually met through a mutual friend. And I honestly believe like the whole reason of that mutual friend was so that we could meet. Because even right now, we're both not even really talking to that person. So yeah, that's how I met Tehillah. She's a very good friend of mine. We pray together, we fast together. We're doing our 2024 vision boards together. Before we get into the conversation, I want to speak directly to that person who is being abused in any way or form, or who knows a person that is being abused. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ did not die on the cross for you to be abused in any way or form. So if you know a person who's being abused, or if you're personally being abused yourself, please go to your nearest police station, get in touch with victim support, or dial Life Child Line. Children can call on 116 and adults can call on 933. You'll be able to speak to a counselor. They're available 24/7, so be sure to call them. They'll be able to refer you to the correct authorities. So please, 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 if you've been waiting for a sign or you've been waiting for that thing to tell you, this is your sign. Reach out to the police. Tell someone you trust. Call Child Lifeline, Life Child Line, and get help today. So before I guess we get into Tehillah's story, I think it would be prudent to define what abuse is. Abuse is the improper usage or treatment of a person or a thing that's often or to unfairly or improperly gain benefit. And there are different kinds of abuse. There's physical, emotional, mental, psychological, financial, or material, discriminatory, organizational, modern day slavery. And I don't know if I said sexual. Yeah. So there's different kinds of abuse. And if you're experiencing any abuse, like I mentioned before, please be sure to reach out to the relevant authorities. So yeah, I guess we can get right into it. So obviously you're here, meaning you've been in a situation that was abusive, and we know that it was in a relationship. So I just guess I want to know, like, how was it? How did you meet him? Like, how you guys met and how things progressed from there.
We met through a mutual friend. So we had been friends for a really long time before we started dating. But then it wasn't like, I'd say, a friendship where we knew each other. Just we would meet at maybe like hangouts and have conversations and then just move on just like that. Then we started dating finally. um yeah, the relationship was really nice, like in the beginning,
Yeah.
getting to know each other. He was my first boyfriend, so
And how old were you? Sorry.
I was 16.
Oh, and how old was he?
He was 19. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was young, really
Yeah,
young,
yeah.
still trying to figure it out. I think also like I was really excited, that thrill. Oh, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't really think that there is more to a relationship than the picture that I had of a relationship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you said you were 16. So like at the age of 16 and him being 19, like what were you doing in your relationship? Was it just like, oh, we're talking, we're like what I guess what was the physical constitution of the relationship since you were 16, obviously underage, and he was technically an adult, right?
Yeah, he was. Well, like the physical part
Mm-hmm.
came in a little bit later, I think, because I was in a boarding school.
Okay.
So after I finished high school, now we could see each other more.
Yeah.
And that's when we added like all, because he was my first everything, my first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it came in after. I think
Okay.
I had grown up a bit then.
Yeah. So
Mm.
like what was he like? I guess in the beginning of the relationship, was he like what was he like? How was he presenting himself to you? Like were there any red flags that maybe you missed or you didn't see?
He was very sweet in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then there were some red flags that I just brushed off. But then looking back at it now,
Yeah.
um, he was very manipulative, and he would dismiss things. Like maybe we would be having a conversation, and then I would say something, and he'll just dismiss it like it's not important, or what are you saying? It doesn't make sense. Just keep quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That yeah, he was very manipulative as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he would gaslight everything. Like
Yeah.
when I try to express myself, he'll be like, "Why?
Yeah.
It's not necessary. Just keep quiet." So I
Yeah.
think those are the red flags that I ignored.
Okay, so is it because I don't know, was there like a sort of like I guess power dynamic because he was older than you?
Mm.
You felt like you couldn't speak up or you couldn't tell him like, yeah, I'm speaking. What I'm saying actually makes sense.
Yeah, it was more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had this thing where he always wanted to be the one on
Mm-hmm.
top, like he's always right.
Yeah.
So there was that thing.
He
as well.
sounds like a narcissist actually.
Yeah, big one.
Yeah. So what did your family think about the relationship? Did you tell? Oh, you didn't tell anyone. Not even your
No,
sister.
my sister knew,
Yeah.
but she didn't know like how deep it was.
So she just thought you guys
She
were
was
just talking.
talking and friends. I never said anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you said you had mutual friends, right? So none of your mutual friends were like, "Oh, this is a bit weird. He's older than you." None of them like raised that as a red flag.
No.
None at all.
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you dating for before he started abusing you?
It started 6 months into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it happened. It started physically before it got to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were at a party. I think. Yeah, it was a party, And then I was talking to his friend, but he misinterpreted that. So he's like, "Oh, can I talk to you?" So we excused ourselves and went to have a conversation. So while trying to resolve that, he just got upset and he hit me about 4 times. Then I started screaming and shouting and like trying to get out because he locked the door. And it's like, "You're not
And
going
which door?
anywhere."
Where were you?
We were in a room and
Okay.
then he locked the door.
Mhm.
And then people had to come and beg to get me out. Yeah, so that was the first time.
So, like, what were you thinking, like, the first time it happened? What was going through your mind?
I was shocked because I never imagined it would be me. I thought it was easy. Like
Mm-hmm.
when that happens, you just leave.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't believe it happened. And then I kept telling myself maybe it was an accident, like he didn't mean it
Yeah.
and it won't happen again.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So after that first instant, I don't know, did he apologize? Was he apologetic, or it just happened and he's like, we're moving on from this?
The first time he apologized because I was really upset about it. So
Yeah.
he was like, he didn't mean that. Obviously, they put in those words, "I love you. I really care about you." So it just hurts me when I see you being like that with other people. And yeah, so that's what he told me. So he asked immediately, I think it was like a few minutes after, he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Can we just move on? Let's forget about it." And that's what we did.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I don't know, between the first time it happened and the next time, what was his behavior like? Like between the first incident and the next incident?
He got really overprotective,
Mm-hmm.
and then he started like, I think he was pretending when
Yeah.
we were starting to get to know each other, but then now I started to see the aggressive side.
Mm-hmm.
Even just the way he would speak to me,
Yeah.
it all changed from that time until the next
The
time
next
he
time.
hit me. He just changed. He became very proud, and he would make comments like, "I own you," those things.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
what you mean by overprotective. Was there
yeah.
anything else he did that showed he was like, I mean, to just define overprotective so people know exactly what to look out for or those kinds of traits?
Uh, oh, he started to isolate me
Mm-hmm.
from people. I think that was like the beginning of the crazy
Yeah.
parts.
But so what does isolation look like? I mean, you said you'd left boarding school, right?
Yeah,
So you were at home
yeah,
with your parents, living with your parents and your sister.
yeah.
So what did isolation look like in that situation?
So my friends,
Mm-hmm.
I had this one friend that picked up like because he was very rude to her
Yeah.
once. He insulted her basically, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "But how do you put up with that?" So after because she had the courage to tell him off, like, "You don't do that. You can't speak to a woman like that. You can't even speak to me like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, "That friend is not a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Leave that friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you hanging out with her because we can't be together if you guys keep hanging out together."
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's where it started. And then bit by bit, like my friends, I just started moving away from the friends I had that thought the relationship was not good. I
Yeah.
just started to move away from them because he said we can't be together if you're being with these bad friends.
Oh, okay. So he was now making it seem like your friends were the ones with the issue
Yeah,
because they opposed the relationship. He was making it seem like those are the people that you need to let go of.
yeah,
And I don't know, how did your friends take it? Like you actually left the friendships, right?
yeah, because some were really judgmental,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and um, I understand for some it was coming from a place of love, but then there were just those people that made me feel really bad
Yeah.
when I tried to express some of the things that I was going through. So I was just like, okay, you know what? Maybe he's right. Let me
Yeah, let
just,
me just let them
yeah.
go. Okay. So between, I don't know, you said the first incident of abuse happened, then he started revealing his true like nature and his true characteristics to you.
Mm.
So when was the next extreme time that it was like, okay,
The next extreme time was New Year's Eve.
mm-hmm.
So we went out, actually snuck out of church. Yeah, so we went to a place. It was like a party was going on, you know. So he was with his friends and another girl, and I think he didn't expect me to be.
Oh, I see. Because he
He,
thought you were at church.
yeah, so
Yeah.
he didn't expect me to be there because it was just like a few minutes, and then we'd go back to church. It was just, oh, let's just see what's going on, and then we go back to church.
Yeah.
So we got to the place and he's there. He was with another girl. He didn't even acknowledge me, like, oh, my girlfriend is here.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like
Yeah.
his main focus was that girl.
Yeah.
So after
Sure.
that, I was like, I'm done,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I went back to church. We crossed over, prayed about it, and he was blowing up my phone because it was an overnight. So we went back home about 5 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to sleep, but he kept on calling me. I don't know where he got my sister's number from. He was
Mm-hmm.
calling her as well
Yeah.
until she got so irritated. She's like, just talk to him, listen to what he has to say, and then you decide after
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up the call and he's like, can I see you? I can't explain what I have to say or over the
On the
phone.
phone.
Let's
Yeah.
meet.
Mm-hmm.
So we met. He explained it's not like that. Um, I was just drunk. That was his excuse to almost everything that happened in the relationship. I was
Mm-hmm.
drunk.
But was he a heavy drinker though?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after we resolved the issue,
Mm-hmm.
he just sat down and I was laughing with this other male friend that I had. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, he didn't like that. It triggered him. So he caused me. Um, and then he made me kneel down in front of his friends.
Yeah.
And my friend was there as well. And he makes me kneel down and then he slapped me.
In front of everybody.
Yeah. So
Yeesh.
then his friends are like, but why? Like, what did she do? And then he started calling me names. He's like, she's with everyone. Can't you see? She likes to entertain everyone,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to teach her a lesson. So he hit me like 3 times before his friends could pull him off. And then 30 minutes later, he was like, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. It's just that I really love you. So when I see you doing such things, I get upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like when his friends, I don't know, when they pulled him off, was it like, I don't know, how did they react to it? Were they like, okay, this is his relationship, this is how he does things, or what, were okay with it? Did they escalate it to anybody?
There's this one friend,
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that really, like, he was really uncomfortable. The other ones didn't really, like, react. They were just shocked.
Yeah,
But then the one friend was like telling him, you don't do that. You can't hit someone like that.
yeah,
And she's a girl. She's not another guy,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So he was like, are you comfortable? He asked me. He's like, are you okay? Would you like to do anything? I said, no, I'm fine. Let's just move on.
yeah,
Yeah, which we did.
yeah. And how did your friend react?
He was shocked.
Oh, so it was a male. Oh, that's the male
Yeah,
friend
that's the
you're
male friend I
laughing
was
with.
laughing
Yeah.
with. Yeah, he was really shocked. He was
Mm-hmm.
surprised.
So like none of your friends ever took the initiative to like go to your parents, or they were just thinking it's like this is Tehillah's business, this is her relationship, this is how she does things.
Um, I think the more time went on, I got very good at hiding. So it was very hard to see what was going on
Yeah.
unless you actually spend a lot of time with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was just very impossible. You couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Mm.
But did you have any other instances publicly where he would like abuse you in public or in front of people, or was it only that one time?
It was that one time physically, but
Mm-hmm.
then there were times where he would call me out
Mm-hmm.
and call me names in front of people. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So apart from the physical and verbal abuse, were there any other kinds of abuse in the relationship?
Emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then, other than that, there was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Um, what, I don't know, I don't even know if this is a valid question, but what type of tactics did he use to keep you in the relationship? Because how long did you date for?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how did he keep you there? Like, was it his manipulation tactics? Like, why did you stay so long in the relationship?
I think in my head I had this idea of, like, I was so in love with him and I was in denial. So it was very hard for me to leave because it was like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's happened. Let me just forget about it,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it won't happen. Or maybe I was believing at some point it would stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just kept on going and going. He would undermine my confidence. He completely destroyed it. Like, I had low self-esteem. I was not confident. And then I became like a shadow of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was also very good at manipulating me. Obviously, now there's the isolation that's in place.
Yeah.
Gaslighting me, all those things. So those are the tactics he
That he
used.
used to use.
Yeah.
So I remember you said that, like, from a young age, you'd been at home. Jesus was the love of your family's lives. You gave your life to Jesus. So when did you give your life to Jesus? Was it before or after this relationship?
It was the time I rededicated my
Yeah.
life. It was in the middle
Of the
of
relationship.
when now the realization started coming, and like I was desperate.
Yeah.
So at that, I feel like the whole situation actually led me to go back to God.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So what was your relationship like with God during the relationship before? Since you said it was in the middle, right? So what was it like with him before you dedicated your life to him, and what was it like after?
It was strained before I rededicated my life because I was ashamed. I I felt like I had let God down because I picked up bad habits that I wasn't supposed to do. I started drinking a lot, and
Was that to cope with the abuse, or?
yeah, it was to cope and also just to try and make him happy because that's what he liked to do. So that's how we would spend time at the bar. So I started drinking a lot, and I felt like that put me away from God because I wasn't praying anymore. I wasn't doing anything that honored God. Yeah. So it was very strained until I went back to him.
But before you go on, I feel like Sister T actually told me this once. She's like, you can't let God down because you're not holding him up in the first place. Like, he's the one. Well, I guess this is for the viewers because you're over it. I'm gonna cry, you guys. But yeah, you can't let God down because you're not holding him up in the first place. Like, I feel like we put this huge pressure on ourselves, like, oh, we have to be a certain way, like, I'm letting him down, I'm disappointing him. And I feel like there's a difference between feeling convicted and feeling condemned. So conviction helps you change, it helps you turn things around. But I think maybe what you're feeling was condemnation because you're feeling like, ish, I've let him down. I can't do anything. Like, I can't come back to him. So yeah, I just wanted people to know that you literally can't let God down because you're not holding him up. He's the one, if anything, who is supporting you, who is getting you through stuff. So if you're feeling like you let God down and that's like a sort of rift in your relationship, you don't have to feel that way. You can go back to him at any time. You can never let God down. Like, he already came, he died for you, he loves you so much. So don't feel like you're in a place that you can't come back to him because you've let him down. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. But you can go on. Like, how was your relationship now after or during? Like, during and after, because I'm sure it was like a process. Yeah.
During the relationship, it was really strained until I started calling out to him now because I needed his help.
Yeah.
That, like, I think the first time I was so broken, I just wanted it to end. So I bought, someone told me about these pills that stop your heart. when you take them, you're not supposed to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but most of these people that do drugs,
Yeah.
they take it. So I was told that, oh, you don't sleep when you take that pill because it stops your heart.
Yeah.
So that day I got the pills and I took them because I had enough. Like the pain, it was overwhelming. Yeah. So then I don't know how, but I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up the next morning and like I didn't understand. So the first thing I did was throw up a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started to quote Psalms 23 like every day.
Yeah, the Lord is my shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would do that like almost every day. Like I would do that, like, please God. Like I needed him at that point. So then slowly, because I wasn't praying anymore,
Yeah.
I started to pray, but I was praying with like I used to pray the Lord's Prayer because I never had anything to say to God.
Yeah.
So I would pray using the Lord's Prayer. And then from that point, it just started like I started to find my way with God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just, I started praying now because now I'm asking him for strength. Like, give me the strength, Lord, to live. I need to live this because I was lost. Yeah, then you know how God is. He just gives you strength when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that your mom was like really like a woman of the faith. So how did you hide that from your mom? Because you guys were really close, right?
Okay, so now this is the crazy part about how such situations put you, like that relationship pulled me away from, I would say, everyone.
Yeah.
I had a strained relationship with my parents, and the fact that I wasn't living at home,
Where were you staying?
I was in school because I was like, now at that point I was in uni, so I was staying in school. So they only saw me on Sundays at church or when I visit, which was almost never.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but sometimes she could feel it, like I would be sad. I remember this one holiday, I had this cousin that's a social worker. I don't know how, but she could tell that I was depressed, but they didn't know why.
Yeah.
So they thought maybe I was depressed because of school, but that wasn't the reason.
Yeah.
So then that's where the prayers kicked in, like after they knew that I was, because I had certain behaviors. I didn't even know I had them. I would just like get home and just lock myself up in the room and just sleep the whole day. Or I'll just listen to music. I would only come out to eat back in my room. Yeah. So, but she started picking on. She started noticing. I remember there's this one time I forgot to hide because I had scars like on my neck. So I forgot to hide, and she's like, "What's this?" You know, but I couldn't say.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know, I think something beat me or what. We back to covering up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when she saw it, she just asked you what was it, but she didn't pursue it any
She
further.
no, she didn't press. I think she was waiting for me to go to her, and like she was being very patient with me, which like eventually I did go to her and explain like this is what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
We need to pray.
Yeah. Okay. So when you said you went to her and you told her you were struggling, so was like her solution to pray only, or did she what did she do when you told her?
I couldn't tell her how bad it was. I just like told her it was a very bad relationship. But that was like after everything. Now I had hit rock bottom. I moved back home. I went back home and I felt like I had no one to talk to because I had no one left at that point.
Yeah.
So I told her I was in a bad relationship.
Yeah.
I didn't explain.
So this was after you had broken up?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we started praying about it and like working on the healing.
Okay. But before we get to the healing part, like what you said the relationship was 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And the abuse started at the 6th month. So he was abusing you for 3 years and a half. So what point, what point did you get to, or what was it what thing made you be like, okay, you know what, I'm done with this relationship. I need to leave. I have to get out. Like, I can't stay here anymore.
Okay, so before that happened, now I remember I explained I started cutting those. So now the strength, like it's coming, like it's, I used to tell myself every day, Lord, like I need to leave this relationship.
Yeah.
I need to, like every day, it became something I told myself every day.
Yeah.
So firstly, I started to cut off communication slowly. And then now the stories start coming out, like, oh, people would come with different stories every day. So there was a point where I think he was fighting with his friends. So everyone came to like tell me all the bad things that were going on. Like, oh, he does this, he does this, he does this. So that day, I remember it was like 22. And I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this anymore. And I just deleted his number and I blocked him. I deleted my socials because I didn't want him to find me. Yeah. So that's how I reached that point. But it was something that I had been telling myself and asking God to get me out of before I reached that point.
So when you deleted him, you blocked him, you deleted your socials, how did he take it? Was he just like, okay, the relationship is done? Or like,
I don't think he did, because when I cut him off, I cut everyone, like his friends. So there was no connection, there was no link.
yeah.
There was nothing. I just like moved on. I actually went into some serious hibernation. So no one knew where I was, no one knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I was just hiding.
So did you love him, I guess, throughout the relationship?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a lot. Oh, because I was willing to, not even willing to, I sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was someone that was always available for him, even when he was going through things. That's how much I cared about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you feel like he cared about you in spite of the abuse and stuff like that?
I don't think so. He just needed me, or he needed something from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think he did, because you wouldn't treat someone you care about like that.
Yeah, but when you're in the relationship, were you convinced that, yeah, this guy loves me? It's just his temper. It's just him seeing me with other people.
I was, for like 2 years. I thought this is his way of showing me love.
Yeah.
And then after some time, I feel like it was just me scared to let go and move on. That's why I kept on holding on. But he probably moved on from the relationship and just remembered me when, oh, because we would go even 2 weeks without speaking.
Really?
Yeah. Or maybe when he remembers, oh, I have a girlfriend, let me go and see her.
Yeah.
And then he would pop up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how often would the abuse happen, I guess? Like if you're saying you used to see each other maybe 2 weeks, was it like every time you'd meet, or was it like far in between?
Okay, so because we stopped seeing each other, the physical abuse like stopped, but then now the emotional one came in, because I feel like he was frustrated and he was going through things outside, and then he would like bring them to me. I was his emotional punching bag.
Yeah.
Because he would have a fight with maybe his friend, and he would call me and he would shout at me, he would insult me, he would tell me I'm nothing, I'm just like the people that hurt him. Such things, you know. He tried so hard to break me. He would pass very stupid comments, like this one time, I don't know why he felt like that was funny. So I had like a really bad dental formula, and then he goes like, you look like you can bite me. And he's like, I don't even know what I'm doing with you, you look like you can bite me.
Are you serious?
And he hung up just like that. Wow. So he would just go and do such things, and just like cut just after that. When he's drunk, he would go like every day. Yeah. Or when he remembers, even if it's after 2 weeks, if he's just got a problem, he'll call me, he'll insult me, just like that. And it would go on and on and on.
Okay. It sounds really hard. I'm actually like fighting tears, but yeah. So when your relationship ended, but I feel like we like glossed over something that you mentioned that I feel like we should give a bit of a conversation to. You attempted suicide.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how did you come back from that, or how did you now move from a point where you're not trying to take your life anymore? And I don't know, for people who are maybe contemplating it or in such situations, like what, I don't know, what mindset were you in? What was your headspace? Like, I don't know if my question makes sense.
Um, like after it happened
Mm-hmm.
and then it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So now the realization, that's the point where I remember I told you I started to quote that Psalms
Yeah, yeah.
23. So now the realization, like it hit, like, what are you doing, you know? Because
Mm-hmm.
now, like, I'm too far gone. So it just, like, my mind was fighting to get out of that
Yeah.
bad place. But overall, I would say it was just God, because I feel like that prayer helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Just that Psalms 23 every day, it got me out of that, like the suicidal thoughts, because now, like, I wasn't thinking about killing myself
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
I was now trying to look at getting myself out and healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my mind was just trying, because I think it kicked into like surviving this, like, just let's go, let's get out of this. So that's what
Yeah.
it was mainly about.
Okay. And then when you speak about the healing, you said you told a cousin, right? Was it a cousin
Yeah.
that you told about it, and then you started to heal from then? So what was your healing process? Because you said that she would lead you to pray, you'd pray together. So
Mm.
how did that work? Like, how did you go from a place of being hurt and broken to now being fully healed?
So there's this verse, Matthew 11:28, verse 30.
Mm-hmm.
Come to me, um, all of you that are heavy laden, and you'll find rest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the verse. That's the first verse that she gave to me, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when I told God, I was like I give it all to you, like I've given you my life.
Yeah.
Just help me, because I lost my purpose at that point. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was lost,
Yeah.
basically. I couldn't carry on. So now at that point, I just needed God to like carry me and like help me. So we would pray. Um, she would talk to me. She would encourage me. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day, she would ask me how I'm doing. She would. She was very patient with
Yeah.
me, because at times when I would just, like just lash out and like blame her because she didn't understand, but she was very patient. So I think from the prayer, there's this peace. I don't know. I always tell people I can't explain it, but I just had this peace. Like all that darkness just left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it just, it was overwhelming. Like I moved, like 1 year I was at rock bottom, and then the next year I'm just happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's the peace that surpasses human
Human
understanding,
understanding.
yeah,
Yeah.
that comes from the Lord.
Mhm.
So I don't know, when you, like, when after the fact, did you ever look back and be like, but God, why did you allow me to go through this? Why did you put me in this situation? Did you ever question him? And what was that like?
I did, but
Mm-hmm.
not in the lines like, why did you? Because for the longest time, I think I was blaming myself.
Yourself,
Like
yeah.
I allowed myself, because I knew that this is what happens. Like I knew, but I still did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I got to understand like later on that
Yeah.
I think I needed to go through it,
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't have developed that relationship with God. I wouldn't understand God's love and his faithfulness.
Yeah.
The most important thing is he got me out of it, even though I wasn't at my best, but God was still there for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to like ask him that why question or like make it seem like, oh God, you abandoned me or something. No, I did not.
Okay, so it essentially, I don't know, not what didn't that did it like it essentially um what did you say, enhanced your relationship with
With
him, or
him, yeah, because now that experience brought me closer to
closer to
him.
him, yeah.
Now praying more than I actually did before.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging him like in everything. Like thank you. That like after that it was all like I was so grateful. Like thank you God, because even certain things started happening like the minute I moved on. And
About certain things.
um opportunities, like I finally had the things that I was praying about that started to happen, that started to take place.
Mm-hmm.
I got closer to my mom. That's something that I was praying about, and I'm so glad I did, because like months after that happened, then we got into like other things with her. And I feel like if I didn't fix my relationship with her or with my other family members,
Yeah.
maybe things would be different now.
Yeah.
So those are the things I was praying about that he answered.
Okay. And did you ever open up to your mom, your sister about the abuse?
My sister,
Your mom, you never told your mom?
I didn't tell her about the physical part because my mom was like, she would take it
Yeah.
far, and that's
Yeah.
not something I wanted.
But why didn't you want him to be like reported to the police, or?
I think what also made that, okay, the thing is, everyone used to view me growing up in the family that I did. Everyone used to look at me like, you're not supposed to do that. So being in such a relationship was the last thing anyone would expect from me, and I didn't want to let them down. So such a thing happening, such a scandal,
Yeah.
it would be a mess. So I was really trying to avoid that.
Yeah. I think from what I'm getting, you were like, I don't know, placing value on like what people would think, what people would say,
Yeah.
as opposed to just, you're in a bad situation. You should say something. You should speak up.
And I also think people wouldn't understand. I used to think they wouldn't understand, or maybe they wouldn't even believe me. Because when you look at my character and what I was going through, that's like two different things.
Yeah.
Like Tehillah is loud. Why is she going to let someone talk to her the way she's letting this guy? Because
Yeah.
that, like, no one would believe that. Or maybe they would side with him. That's what I was thinking, because a lot of people liked him.
Oh, I see. Like,
Yeah.
he's a popular guy, like very likable.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So, I don't know. How did being in that relationship affect, I don't know, your relationships going forward, your romantic relationships going forward?
Um, it just completely, it's really hard anyway, I would say, because I've got these defense mechanisms where anything can trigger me and I have to react in a certain way because I'm trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
So I self sabotage relationships, in to some extent even friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to protect myself. I'm looking out for myself. So it's very hard to trust someone because every relationship just feels unsafe. Like at some point, he's going to change, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Mm. It's not easy because the minute you try to get close to someone, then there's that like, what if, like any little thing. Once and I were actually talking about it, we were like, it's small things where you just feel like you have to defend yourself in little things, or you have to project
Yeah.
because you're trying to protect yourself at the end of the day. You're looking out for yourself. Yeah, so that's how it's affected future relationships going forward.
Okay.
Hmm.
And is that something that you take to God? Do you pray about it like, Lord, this is what I'm struggling with?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we even talked about it once where we were talking about how sometimes because of experiences we've gone through, we make decisions of the flesh
Yeah.
instead of trusting God. But one thing I was supposed to mention, when I was praying, I asked God for like the spirit of discernment.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if I feel like this relationship or this talking stage is not for me,
Yeah.
I'll like, I don't know how it happens, but my spirit just puts a no to that and I move on. So that's something that's helping me a lot. But then I'm understanding that God wouldn't put me in a place
Mm-hmm.
to that's going to bring harm to me.
Mm-hmm.
So going forward, I want to trust Him even in the relationship aspect, that He'll bring someone that's going to respect me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true. I feel like yeah, trusting God is very important. Sometimes I feel like we try to lean on our own understanding, and that's the thing that actually leads us astray or leads us down a bad path. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
also trusting God isn't like the easiest thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you've been through something or if you're used to being self-reliant. But I feel like it's a very like integral part of our relationship with him is learning to trust him, learning to cast everything to him,
Mm-hmm.
trusting that he has good plans for you, plans not to harm you but to prosper you, to give you a future. So I'm definitely glad that that's something that you're working on. As you're working on your healing with the Lord, I don't know, have you forgiven him for what he did to you?
Yeah, we're actually even on speaking terms now.
Girl.
Like not speaking like every day, but
Yeah.
we can say hi to each other. So Ndola is small, and the whole time that I was healing, I never met him. All those years just passed, and I never met him until I was fine and I was comfortable. It also took a lot of strength to forgive someone that never apologized to me.
So you
So
never, you
he,
never apologized?
no, he never, like,
Mm-hmm.
since the blocking, and we never spoke about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just moved on. But the reason, what led me to forgiving him was I didn't want that to be something that stops me from moving on, or it's just something that's hanging over my head, you
Yeah.
know. I needed to move on, I needed to let go, I needed the peace, I needed to just start afresh. So I let it go, and when I did, I felt free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so even when we eventually met, I was like,
How did you meet?
hi, how are
Like just in the
you?
streets, walking around.
Yeah, we met, we bumped into each other at the
Yeah.
mall, and he was like, hi. He even complimented me. He was like, you look really pretty. I was like, thank you. And yeah,
Yeah.
we never saw each other again after
Never
that.
that. Really?
Yeah,
Like since that time till now, you've never bumped into him again.
I saw him from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
The time I was at home, but we've never. I moved because I moved here now, so I was
Yeah.
spending less time in Indola.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just let it go, and
Yeah.
I forgive him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like what you mentioned about how like forgiving him was like setting yourself free, giving yourself that freedom. And I think a lot of the times people think that like because in the Bible, God Jesus is always like, you gotta forgive. If you're coming to pray, you need to first forgive the person that you have beef with. You need to squash the beef.
Mhm.
And people feel like forgiveness is a weakness, like you're
Mhm.
kind of telling that other person, yeah, it's okay that you did this, it's okay
Mhm.
that you hurt me or something like that. It's like people feel it's giving the other person a pass, like you're just letting them go. But forgiveness is for us. And
Yes.
even when you watch a lot of these testimonies online, like people on the other side will always say, like it was because of that unforgiveness that we were now able to find a way in or break a prayer circle with the James Kalwaya
Yes.
testimony. Yes. So
Yes.
unforgiveness basically gives the devil a foothold in your life. It's like him having legal grounds because all he does is accuse us 24/7, I assume. So if you are now asking God for something and the devil's like, no, but actually, your girl Tehillah, she hasn't forgiven, so this is this, that, that. So I think forgiveness, like you mentioned, it's more so for us because honestly, not that I'm condoning abuse, but the Lord forgives us every day. We fall short of His glory. We wrong other people. We wrong Him. But can you imagine if Jesus was just like, you know what? Actually, I'm not gonna die on this cross because I don't forgive you. So yeah, forgiveness is very important to us and to our faith, not only because it frees us up, but also because um it allows us to be in right standing with God. Because if He forgives us, why shouldn't we forgive other people? And it also doesn't give the enemy a foothold. The way people say anger gives the enemy a foothold, so does unforgiveness.
Yeah.
And I guess the last question I have for you was, how did being in that relationship where you're being told over and over again, like you're worthless, you're nothing, being told about how you're looking, like how did that affect your self-worth and how you viewed yourself? And also, I guess, how you thought maybe God was viewing you and how that, played out.
My self-worth was completely destroyed. I had low self-esteem. It was non-existent, I would say, because now I'm just there, like feeling worthless because that's something that he told me and now it's in my mind. So I would relate it to just everything. Like if this person can't see my worth, then um God doesn't see it because that's how I felt. Um like I said, I felt like I let him down, and then I just felt like it's over. It's done. There's nothing here for me. God, like I've disappointed everyone. God, this man that I constantly keep disappointing, my family. So it really destroyed that. Because the things that I'm still struggling with, even up to now, things that I'm still working on because my self worth was destroyed completely.
So how you said you're still working on stuff, obviously, but how have you been restoring that worth? Like how did you get back to the point where you're like, actually I am God's baby girl and He loves me? Like how did you get back there? Because girl, you feel yourself when it comes to the Lord. I know, like when you're in Him you're very secure. So how did you get back to that?
Just knowing that He loves me. Back to John 3 verse 16, which I believe everyone knows. I knew that God loves me and that was enough. So that's now me understanding that that's what matters. Like God's love is the only thing that matters. So in Him I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. So no one can tell me I'm ugly and I should take it. So that now got me coming out of my shell. My confidence started coming back. I started taking pictures. I stopped hiding myself. I stopped covering myself. Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, there's just this happiness when God is in your life. Yeah. So it's been amazing.
It is amazing. I'm glad that you were able to get out of that situation. I'm glad that even though it was an ugly situation, you got through it with the Lord. It made your relationship with Him better. And I also feel like I was discussing on the previous episode with Mansa, like the Lord has the ability to take situations that the enemy made for evil and turn them for good. Because even like now, you say you spoke at a conference at school. What was that?
There was a GBV talk.
Yeah, a GBV talk. You're able to advocate for people. People come to you with their problems. So now you're in a position where you can help women who are going through those situations. So I feel like if anything good came out from that, it's the fact that you're able to speak to people and help people with your testimony. So yeah, I'm very happy that you got through it. the Lord did it with you, and that you're amazing. Tehillah isn't this shy, you guys. She's like, I don't know what this is, but she's literally one of like the best people I've ever met. She's so strong, she's so resilient, and she doesn't take any nonsense from anyone. She doesn't even take nonsense from me because every time she'd be like, "Girl, it's so for real. Like, why are you lying to yourself?" So
kick.
in the spirit, she'd be drop kicking in the spirit. So I'm so glad that you got through it and that you're here. And thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, sharing your story. I don't know if you want your socials out there or if you're just happy being.
I currently don't have social media. Just TikTok, but you can send me an email.
It's giving 2000. It's giving auntie.
It's giving auntie.
So what is your email address?
tehillahk98@gmail.com.
tehillahk98@gmail.com. So you guys, slide into her email DMs. Rachel sister T is cracking up like, y'all gonna be sending emails. So slide into her DMs. And I guess just for us to close, I wanted to just go through a few scriptures. The first is Psalm 56, and it's basically just showing you and telling you that God is on the side of the oppressed and the abused. So don't ever for a second feel or believe that the Lord isn't being there for you. Like if you're going through something, the Lord is right there with you. You don't have to feel alone, and He is on your side. There's a verse that says, "The Lord's strength is perfected in our weakness." So whenever you're feeling weakness, just know that the Lord is there abounding with you. The second is Isaiah chapter 4 verse 3. A bruised reed He will not break, and a faintly burning wick He will not quench. He will faithfully bring forth justice. So the thing about God is that He is very, very just. He's a just God. So if you have been abused or if you're going through a tough situation, rest assured that the Lord will avenge you. He said that vengeance is His. So I think from our human perspective, we might think that justice isn't taking the form that we would like it to take. But rest assured, if you have been wronged on the face of this earth, the Lord will definitely avenge you. So even the way Tehillah and her abuser met, and it doesn't look from her perspective like he paid for what he did, I'm sure the Lord will, He will settle that account when the time comes. So don't feel like you have to take vengeance into your own hands and start, I don't know if it's hurting people back or abusing them. Just have faith, trust in the Lord. He will avenge you, for He is a just God. And lastly, I just want to look at Mark chapter 15 verse 29, which says, "Those passing by were hurling abuse at Him, wagging their heads and saying, 'Ha, you who are going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days.'" So Jesus literally came in the flesh. I don't feel like there's anything that you're going through that Jesus Christ did not experience on the face of the earth. Jesus Himself was abused. He was beaten, He was battered, He was spat on, He was abused to the point of death. So if you're feeling alone in a situation, you know that you can trust Jesus because He's been there. He's been abused, He's been hurt before. He's been there, so you can trust in Him. You can go to Him. You can take anything to Him. It's not going to be foreign to Him. It's completely different in a situation where maybe you're talking to someone and they've never been abused before, and you feel like, oh, this person can't relate to what I'm saying. But Jesus Christ has literally been there. He was abused to the point of death, so you can trust Him with that. You can take it to Him. And even the way Tehillah has shown us, she forgave this guy for abusing her. Jesus Christ on the cross literally said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they are doing." So Jesus has been there, and even in the midst of His abuse, He was still extending grace. Now, I'm not saying that you must stay in that situation, which brings me to my next point. If you are being abused, or if you know of someone who is being abused, don't wait for it to get bad. Don't wait for the moment where the abuse turns to someone being killed. Don't wait until the point where you're suicidal. Go get help. Go to the police, contact victim support. You can reach out to Life Child Line. Children can call on 116. Adults can call on 933. They are open 24/7. And you can reach a counselor who will speak to you and direct you to the relevant authorities. So that brings us to the end of our episode. Again, Tehillah, thank you so much for joining us. Wait, is there anything you would like to say to anybody who is in an abusive situation? Yeah, just, I don't know, some closing remarks.
Um, Firstly, you need to know that you are not alone. There's always someone that wants to listen to you. There's always someone that's willing to help. So just make sure that you speak to someone about it, because, like Chloe mentioned, it can escalate at any time. So please talk to someone and then trust God. There's nothing that He can get you out of, even things that seem very impossible, because He loves us. So trust Him, pray, call unto Him. He's going to respond, and He's going to come through for you in ways that you don't even expect. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So, like, follow. Let's do upbeat for the heavy combo. But like, follow, subscribe, share. And
Yeah.
I hope this conversation blessed you. Please share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. And remember to bloom where you are planted.